Jason Dackman here. We are here to talk esports, and I'm with a good friend of ours, Joe Lynch of EA. Joe, first of all, thanks for taking some time today to chat. Really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
So you guys had just a tremendously monumental event over the weekend. Obviously, since the Apex Legends title was released by EA, it's created all kinds of buzz. You guys have created an esports infrastructure around that. But COVID has made it challenging to do in-person events and stuff. So over the weekend, the Apex Legends Global Series Championship in Raleigh, North Carolina, ended up being a massive, event for you guys and a really huge chapter in what is the evolution of Apex Legends esports. Tell us, just for those who aren't that familiar with this space, how important was this event to the Apex Legends esports scene?
Wow. Understatement of the century. It was unbelievably important for a lot of reasons. First of all, when we first launched Apex, the game started, we started to do a couple of little things here and there, but as we really started to dive into the ALGS, COVID happened. And so we never got a chance to do a big, Apex Legends Global Series LAN event with an audience and with the crowd. And with esports, the community is such a huge part of it, right? It's not just about being a fan. It's not just about watching the best players in the world. It's about being connected to it. And it's about being able to meet people and be with other people who are in the same community as you. And that's such a big part of what esports is. We haven't had that for 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. And so when COVID first started, you and I have talked about this a lot, we were just launching the series and we couldn't do anything. And so we had to figure out how to produce these shows all remotely. And that's all we've done for the last 2.5 years. Now, fortunately, a couple of months ago, we were able to do our first event in Stockholm, Sweden. But that event didn't have an audience. It was just the players and it was just the crew. And that was an amazing experience because for those of us who have been working on this series for the last couple of years, it's the first time most of us had met in person. You know what I mean? From the crew. Like people that have worked together a ton, and you Zoom with people all the time and you're working in a virtual control room with people. You have that camaraderie to an extent, but you're not in the truck. You're not in the control room. You are not on set having these conversations. So for us to be together for that first time, that was really special for us. Now, flash forward to this past weekend. Now it's us plus the fans. And that to me was the really, really special moment of seeing the looks on the faces of the fans walking in the arena. They walk in and they see this big stage and these lights and the monitors and the smiles and the conversations people were having and watching on social media as people were talking about how excited they were and oh, I'm coming, I'm going to come to the next one. And they were calling their friends to come because it was so fun. It was a really, really great experience. One, as a producer and as someone that just likes to create things, it was a really, really fun and fulfilling sort of a show. But as just a human, to be a part of a community and to be part of a group that was so excited to be there, that was honestly the most special part of it, I would argue, for all of us.
Anybody that's been to a large-scale live esports event knows that the crowds are raucous, and it's just not the same without them.
It's special. Sorry, I just want to interrupt. It's special, right? Like the interesting thing about esports, even when you're broadcasting it, is that the platforms that we use, whether it be Twitch or YouTube, you have that chat functionality that it's the instant feedback of everything that you do. The fans are not shy about telling you what they do and don't like about what you do.
Right.
You take that one step further when you're in person. And it's funny, I was doing, while I was there, I was doing a bunch of press and local media and stuff. And so as I would sort of spend time in the audience and would be walking around, people would come up and be like, I saw you on the news last night. I got some things I want to talk to you about. And they'd start talking to me about the show and about things they like and that they didn't like. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, this is what it is about. So it's a really, really special thing to be a part of esports when it comes to production and content creation.
Very cool. Well, let's talk about that production. We're going to do a little bit of an SVG rewind, take a look back at how you guys pulled it off. First of all, what did your footprint look like in Raleigh, and who did you partner with to get the job done?
Sure. So we were at the PNC Arena in Raleigh, which is where the Carolina Hurricanes play. And it was a really, really great place. First of all, the city of Raleigh, the state of North Carolina, and specifically the people and the crew within the PNC Arena were fantastic, like just unbelievable people. So felt amazing about that. As far as the actual venue itself, it's a hockey arena. So we essentially cut the arena in half. Look at what a battle royale is. You're talking about 60 players, 20 teams of 3 players each. That's a pretty large footprint. And so we went through a bunch of different design iterations and tried to look at how we were going to fit it in there within the boards on the ice down on the bottom in the bowl. And we ended up having to go the long way. So we had to cut the arena in half in order to fit the entire stage and the entire production, right? Because we needed to keep some distance for COVID. And so we had to be mindful of all of that stuff. So essentially what we did was we cut the arena in half. We had the stage kind of long ways across the ice. And then one half open arena seating like it normally would. We had the talent positions out front of house. And so we had downstage right, camera left, and downstage left, camera right. We had the caster table also with our Japanese casters. We had 2 booths over on one side, and on the other side, we had our analyst desk. And so they were right down on the floor, right amongst the crowd, right with everything. And it felt really, really good. And it felt, really, really inclusive, which was great. Back of house, we set up a essentially gigantic fly pack with a couple of different units in it. And so our partners at PGL, our production company out of Bucharest, Romania, who are a great partner that we've had for a number of years, brought their gear, all of their sort of gear over from Romania and set up the entire control room, observing room, audio, graphics, all of that they set up there. On the other side of backstage, we set up our transmission unit, which sent to the EA sort of owned and operated transmission, which went to our multi-view system, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The stage operations, which is a company called Waveform out of Canada, who is really, really great. They do a ton of esports content and built a beautiful set for us. They had their control there. Our league operations built a fly pack back there, as well as our dev team from Respawn, so that they can monitor the game and make sure everything was going as it could be. So backstage was a gigantic village of equipment and of just unbelievable people who put on a great show. So that was backstage. We also brought in an NEP truck for cameras and shading. They were out in the parking lot, but NEP truck, who most of the viewers have probably used. And so those were our main, and then CES came in and brought the Jennies that we had and ran our power for us. So those were the big main partners that we had.
Great. Okay. You mentioned the multi-view, and anybody that I'm just always amazed that anybody can produce a battle royale event at all. There's just so many moving pieces and that type of thing. So take us a little bit into the workflow from an observer standpoint, from what the multi-view was able to pull off. There's just so many feeds at once. I'm always amazed how you guys are able to pull it off.
It is a beast. Battle royales, for those of you that don't know, a battle royale is kind of exactly what you think. But the way that it works is there are 20 teams of 3, so it's 60 players. They drop on a map, and last team standing wins, right? But the problem is that's as many as 60 stories happening at one time, right? And so we have to figure out a way on how to cover that, not only for just a cohesive story throughout the weekend, but so fans at home can understand what's going on. So there's a lot of different ways we've been trying to figure that out. And as an industry, esports has been trying to figure out how to tell the battle royale story. And so one of the things that we did was Twitch sort of implemented this new feature they had called Command Center. And they basically designed it so that anyone, like us or any of the other titles that were running multiple games at one time could feed out multiple games at the same time. Think of it like kind of like a red zone. They could feed multiple games at the same time. But we took it one step further. And what we did was we said, okay, well, what if we use that functionality and we take all 60 feeds or all 20 team feeds, combine all of their game comms, combine their POV cameras so the audience can see who these people are, and then implement that in there. And so we took all of those feeds. We took one feed from each team. So it was 20 feeds plus the team comms. So the 3 players, we had to meld those together, insert them into that, bring in the POV cameras, put that in, mix that, and then send that to 2 locations. One, we had to send it back to production. So we had to send that to the switcher so they could use it in the show, because we would do listen-ins and certain things within the show. And then we would send that directly to Twitch. The hope was, and when we started doing this about 6 or 8 months ago, was that the audience would see that and they could do one of 2 things. Either A, create their own story, whether it's just viewers at home or streamers that wanted to do watch parties. We were giving them the tools to create their own broadcast, essentially. Or if you were a big fan of one team, for example, TSM, you were a big fan and you wanted to just watch TSM, you could just sit and watch them, listen to them, listen to their strategy, listen to how they play, listen to their calls, and that's your entertainment. And so that's gone really, really well for us. as we've used it, we've progressed it more and more and started to add different things. For example, we don't just have the game feeds. We also have a map feed that's in there. So at any moment, someone can have the map up and see exactly where all the teams are. We also had a stats page that we had in there, because part of the way Battle Royale works is you gain points. And the way you gain points, that's how you get through the rounds. That's how you get to the finals. And a lot of people want to know at any time during the game, who's where, how are we doing, how's my favorite team doing? And previously, they were relying on us to throw up a tombstone or to put a graphic up so that they could follow along. But now we could actually have a live game feed, a live feed out of the API of the game, sending right to multi-view so they could have the stats page up the whole time so they could follow around. We then went one step further, which is Twitch has a functionality called Twitch extensions, which is an overlay over the video. And so maybe someone didn't want to go through the multi-view. We actually repurposed the extension. Was a lot of times people use it for trivia and just ways to keep people engaged. We actually did the same thing, and we used it as an on-demand stats function. And so we were feeding the stats into the extension so that people could look at who the kill leaders were, who the highest point scorers were. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to follow a really, really complicated story. So Twitch has been a really, really good partner in giving us the tools to work with and sort of play with, and to be honest, try and break to make it a good storytelling tool for us. So that part has been unbelievably amazing, and all the credit in the world to Brian Brenbeck and my engineering team, who were kind of the wizards that figured out how to make all that work. And that part's been really, really impressive. And the response from the community has been great, because no other battle royale had done it that way before. And everyone was like, oh, this is cool. Now I can follow it and I understand what's happening. And to your point, there's a lot of people that are just kind of getting into esports and figuring it out for the first time. And if you jump into battle royale and don't understand it, it's like just a wave of information coming at you. And so at least this way, people can sort of choose your own adventure and try and figure it out on their own at their own speed. But we still keep our curated feed, right? We still have the casters. We still have all that information going. So if you want to do that story, it's there for you. But if you want to do it your own way, that's there for you too.
Yeah, it really is amazing. It's as if, on a football field, if 60 different stories were going on at once, it's pretty bonkers. And the industry's still figuring out, as you mentioned, just how to cover battle royale. And it is iterative. And I think it was a big step over the weekend as you guys have brought it further.
I mean, that's a great sort of comparison, which is like, imagine if you're watching an NFL game and you want to watch, the battle between, Jadeveon Clowney and the tackle, and just watch it from their perspectives the whole time. You hear everything they say. You can hear them talking to their coach. You can see it from there. They have a camera in their helmet and you can see what they're doing. Imagine being able to watch football that way. We can do that with our stuff. We can actually do that, and people get really, really excited about it.
Yeah, very cool. So a huge step for you guys, a minute for you to not only shout out your team, but look at what's ahead. How proud are you of all that you guys were able to accomplish this season, and then with the championship, and then what can we expect, if you want to tease it a little bit, for ALGS season 3 next time?
Well, one is, like I said, the engineering team that we have is unbelievable. Our producers and our production team and partners, the league operations team, all of the people within EA that had to come together to make this possible, was really, really fun to watch, and was really impressive to see the way everyone came together to put this together. This is the biggest event that we've done as EA, as a company. This was the biggest event that we had put together, and to the credit of all of those people involved, was a success. And that part was just so great to watch as we got through the whole thing. And the night ended on Sunday, and we were sort of packing up and moving out. It was that moment of, we did it and we got through it. And it's because of all these people, like I said, from league operations to broadcast to partnerships to the events team to the development team. It's been really, really fantastic. So cannot praise them enough for the work that they did. As far as what's to come, I think what we've proven over the last couple of years is that we are in a constant state of test and learn, and we're moving things forward, and we're coming up with new ideas as we go. I think from a broadcast perspective, from an on-screen perspective, we've figured some things out that I go, oh, you know what, this would be really helpful, and this would be a good storytelling tool. From an event and an overall experience perspective, oh man, do we have ideas. Going through it that first time and being there with people and sitting in the audience and being a spectator, we now know how much work we have to do to get that fan experience to the level that we wanted at. And not for nothing, as a fan of the game, as someone that plays this game multiple times a week, much to my wife's chagrin, I am a fan of this game, and to sit in the audience and watch it, I now know what the experience I want is as a fan, as someone who would come to this. And so I'm really excited for that part, to have another swing at it and to be able to build it up much bigger than it was this last time.
Well, we are excited to see what you guys have in store. But for now, well done. Great season and a great finale there. And Joe, we always appreciate you taking the time. Can't wait to see what you guys have ahead. But for now, stay safe, stay healthy, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks, bud. You too.